In the last section, we wrote out our first tiny little Dart program. This is essentially a Hello World program, and I know Hello Worlds are very boring and you don't really like to see them inside of courses, but in this case, we can actually learn a lot about the Dart programming language by tearing apart this snippet of code line by line. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. In this section, we're going to start with this first line of code right here, and we're going to tear this thing apart line by line or piece by piece and get a better idea of what's going on behind the scenes. So let's get to it. In this diagram right here, I took that line and put it into a series of different blue boxes. So we're going to talk about every little chunk inside of here, starting off with the word var on the far left-hand side. The word var declares a new variable. This is one way of many in which we can declare a new variable inside of Dart, and we'll very shortly see some of the other ways in which we can declare a variable. Right after that, we put down the variable's name. In this case, the name of the variable was simply name. Just like many other programming languages, we can then later on reference this variable by simply writing out the word name. We then placed our equal sign, and then on the right-hand side that we had a reference to the function myName. The set of parentheses after myName invokes that function, or it runs it, returns the value, and then that value gets assigned to the variable name right here. One thing I want to point out in particular is the semicolon at the end of this line. So Dart requires us to make use of semicolons. They're not optional as they are inside of JavaScript. Now, the last thing I want to mention about this line of code right here is that there's actually two separate things occurring. On the left-hand side of the equal sign, we have var and then name. These two words right here form a step that we refer to as variable declaration. Variable declaration is the process of actually creating this variable and telling Dart, hey, here's a new variable and here's its name. Then, with the equal sign and the call to the myName function, we have a second step referred to as variable initialization. Initialization is the process of assigning a value to a variable that has been declared. So again, two separate steps here. The first one is variable declaration, and the second is initialization. This might seem like a very small distinction to make, but later on, as we start to go deeper into Dart, the difference between declaration and initialization is going to start to get very important. Okay, so we just took apart one line of code. Let's continue in the next section, and we're going to continue looking at this little snippet right here. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a moment.